We can now open a laptop in a busy cafe, connect to the internet, and immediately access the corporate network. Organizations spend millions building complex firewalls and encrypting traffic to secure that connection. These digital layers focus entirely on protecting the data as it moves through the air. This conceptual model shows what happens when we leave the corporate building. The thick architectural perimeter, the walls, badge readers, and security guards, dissolves completely, leaving a single unprotected laptop floating in the center. Without that building, securing the data becomes a shared responsibility model. The physical environment you choose to work in is now an active threat vector. Physical habits dictate the safety of company data as much as any firewall. One of the most common physical risks is shoulder surfing, when a bystander gets an unauthorized view of confidential information in a shared space. The threat usually isn't a highly trained hacker. It is often just an opportunistic passerby glancing down at an unprotected screen as they walk past. And the screen isn't the only exposure point. A printed report left out on a table or a phone lighting up with a sensitive push notification provides that same unauthorized access. This geometric top-down diagram demonstrates a primary hardware solution, a privacy filter. It physically blocks off-angle viewing, narrowing the visible range of the monitor so that only the user directly in front of it can read the text. You can also fix this with a simple behavioral change. Organize your physical workspace layout so your back is against a solid wall, eliminating the rear line of sight entirely. Controlling your visual field is the most reliable way to prevent opportunistic data theft. Visual exposures are only half the problem. Acoustic leaks happily continue, both in bustling coffee shops and in quiet shared home offices. Discussing client issues or internal strategies loudly during public video calls broadcasts confidential data directly to strangers nearby. It is easy to feel secure in semi-private areas, like hotel lobbies or coworking lounges, but trusting that nearby strangers are safe or simply not paying attention is a critical security flaw. The necessary mitigations are straightforward. First, use a headset to mute incoming audio. Second, move to an isolated, enclosed space before initiating any sensitive verbal discussions. Acoustic privacy requires the exact same attention as screen privacy. An overheard conversation compromises data as completely as a stolen file. Behind most of these physical exposures is a behavioral root cause, the desire to prioritize convenience over security. The most frequent everyday mistake is stepping away to grab a coffee or use the restroom, leaving a device open and unattended on the table. This timeline compares an unlocked machine versus a locked one. In seconds, a malicious actor can extract data. Notice how the timeline expands into a cascading flowchart. An exposed ID badge or USB drive can trigger a broader network breach. The immediate corrective action is building muscle memory. Learn your machine's keyboard shortcuts and lock the screen the exact moment you stand up. Apply that same rule offline. When you step away from your workstation, secure printed documents and access cards completely inside a closed bag. Treating physical workspace habits with the same rigor you apply to password hygiene removes the gap where convenience becomes exposure. Even with rigorous habits, the physical world remains unpredictable. A badge will eventually get misplaced or a document left behind. When a physical asset is lost or data is exposed, the critical incident response action is rapid reporting to your IT or security team. This workflow maps out exactly why. A rapid user report triggers an immediate remote lock on the lost asset, stopping a breach before it reaches the central corporate network. Fast reporting isn't punitive. It is the organization's primary tool for isolating damage. The secure perimeter effectively follows the remote worker, functioning as a continuous practice that applies to every new table and every new room. By actively protecting your physical workspace, you protect your data and secure the entire organization.